New US ambassador assures of continued support in Rohingya issue as he calls on Prime Minister. Election campaign and public relation apace in festive atmosphere across country for parliamentary elections. None can stop massive public support generated for boat across country, says confident Obaidul Qadir. Ceasefire between Yemen government and Houthi rebels to take hold from tomorrow amid reports of continued clash. And Windies beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets in first match of T20 series. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching news at 10 on BTV, BTV World and BTV Chattogram Center. I'm Nuzhat Sharmeen.
And I'm Mashrufa Hussain. You've just heard the headlines. Moving on to the details. Seeking vote for her party in the coming elections, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said the Awami League should stay in power at least for 5 more years so that none can upset the country's current pace of progress. The Prime Minister said this while presiding over a discussion arranged by Bangladesh Awami League at Bangabandhu International Conference Centre, marking the Victory Day 2018. The Awami League president said her party has prepared an economic plan to reduce poverty by 5 to 6% more before celebrating Mujib Year, marking the birth centenary of Bangabandhu in 2020 and Golden Jubilee of Independence in 2021. Without naming anybody, the Prime Minister said, deviating from truth, ideology and right track, none can do anything good to the people, she said. The Prime Minister said she has immense confidence in the people of Bangladesh and that they would not allow anybody in future to veer off the country from the existing path of development and the spirit of the Liberation War. Criticizing the manifesto of Oiko Front led by Dr. Kamal Hussain, the Prime Minister said, in the manifesto they have committed to changing the authoritarian regime. What kind of change do they want to bring in the country? The Prime Minister asked this question, recalling the emergence of militancy, terrorism, money laundering and unbridled corruption during BNP Jamaat regime from 2001 to 2006. They ruled the country for 39 years out of 47 years after independence. But what they had given to the people except making their own fortune and amassing wealth at home and abroad, Sheikh Hasina added. The Prime Minister blasted the Oiko Front for being associated with the anti-liberation force and giving nomination to the persons convicted for corruption, militancy and war crimes. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visibly bashed opposition Jatiyo Oiko Front convener Dr. Kamal Hussain for issuing threats to newsmen, saying what type of governance someone could deliver who intimidates reporters just for asking a question. Assistant Press Secretary to the Prime Minister Asif Kabir said Sheikh Hasina, however, expected no such threat could bar the free and fair journalism in the country. The Premier's comments came as Jamuna Television senior reporter Bhaskar Bhaduri informed the Premier that he was threatened by the Oiko Front leader as he met her on the sidelines of a discussion and said he felt insecure receiving such threats. The Prime Minister asked reporters not to be worried about security. Dr. Kamal Hussain on December 14 threatened reporters when they were asked about his position on the Jamaat-e-Islami, which openly opposed Bangladesh's liberation war in 1971.
Newly appointed US Ambassador in Dhaka, Robert Miller, said his country expects the upcoming December 30 elections in Bangladesh will be free, fair and credible as he paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The ambassador said this when he paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at Ganabhavan in Dhaka this morning. After the meeting, Prime Minister's Press Secretary Ihsanul Karim briefed the reporters. The US ambassador informed the Prime Minister that his country will send 32 observers to monitor Bangladesh's upcoming national elections. He said 11 teams of the US Embassy will also observe the polls. During the meeting, the Prime Minister briefly described her party's struggle in restoration of democracy in the country and said that it was only Awami League government which handed over the power peacefully in 2001 in the history of the country. She said that before the 2014 elections, her government offered some ministries to the opposition to join the polls-time government, but instead they resorted to violence, arson and killing people. Regarding the Rohingya issue, the US envoy said that Myanmar should create an environment so that the Rohingyas could return to their homeland safely. The USA will continue its support to Bangladesh on Rohingya issue, he said. Terming the existing USA-Bangladesh relations as strong, Miller said the US wants to extend cooperation further between the two countries in energy and education sectors. The Prime Minister sought cooperation from the US ambassador to resume the Dhaka-New York flight. Earlier, newly appointed Netherlands ambassador in Dhaka, G.J. Harry, called on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at Gonabhavan. During the meeting, the Prime Minister sought to share Dutch expertise in water management, particularly to check the endemic river erosion and implement Bangladesh's long-term Delta Plan 2100. The Premier expressed her gratitude to the Dutch government to help formulate Bangladesh's Delta Plan 2100. The new Dutch envoy assured of continuing assistance in implementing the Delta Plan 2100, saying the Netherlands also has an identical plan. Harry put emphasis on continued international pressure on Myanmar to take back its Rohingya people from Bangladesh. Pointing out the steps of the government in establishing 100 special economic zones across the country, the Prime Minister said lands were being allocated to encourage foreign investment in Bangladesh. Harry highly lauded Bangladesh's tremendous economic development under Sheikh Hasina's leadership, describing it as amazing. Awami League General Secretary, Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir has said public support that has been created in favor of Awami League across the country would not be stopped by any evil forces. He told this to the journalists after visiting the construction works of 2nd Shitalokha Bridge on Dhaka-Chattogram Highway today. Railways Minister Mujibul Haq was present on the occasion. Obaidul Qadir expressed hope that the Election Commission would take actions against the miscreants irrespective of party if they try to disrupt the peaceful electoral environment. Observing that the Awami League is stronger than the past, the Awami League leader said rebel candidates would have to withdraw their candidature by tomorrow, otherwise disciplinary actions will be taken against them. Jatiyo Oikko Front declared its manifesto with a list of 14 electoral pledges ahead of the 11th parliamentary elections. Oikko Front convener and Gano Forum President Dr. Kamal Hossain released the manifesto in Dhaka today. Oikko Front leaders including BNP Secretary Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir, Krishak Shromik Janota League President Kader Siddiqui and Ganashastho Kendro founder Zafrullah Chaudhry were present among others. Nagorik Oikko convener Mahmudur Rahman Manna read out the 35-point manifesto. The manifesto pledges include continuation of the trial of war criminals, bringing a balance of power between the President and the Prime Minister, forging national unity, ensuring freedom of expression and safety of citizens.
Later, leaders of Jatiyo Oikko Front held meeting with Election Commission at Nirbachan Bhavan. Chief Election Commissioner K. M. Nurul Huda, Election Commissioners Mahbub Talukdar, Mohammad Rafiqul Islam, Begum Kabita Khanam and Brigadier General Retired Shahadat Hussain Chaudhry were present. Led by Dr. Kamal Hussain, leaders of Oikko Front Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir, ASM Abdul Raub and Mahmudur Rahman Manna attended the meeting. They alleged that their candidates and supporters are being attacked and urged the Election Commission to take necessary action in this regard. Jashud President Hasanul Haq Inu has said Oikko Front tactfully made proposals to save thieves of orphans' money, grenade attackers, militants and fire terrorists through its election manifesto. He said this while addressing a number of roadside rallies at Bheramara in Kushtia today. Hasanul Haq Inu raised the question as to how Oikko Front continue trial of war criminals while providing them shelter in the election alliance. He claimed the Oikko Front kept its mouth shut about the militants, fire terrorists, killers and Rajakar al-Badrs in the election manifesto. Now BTV's regular field report, People's Voice on Politics and Election. Discussions, table talks and conversations are going on at every corner of the country as national elections is drawing nearer. Mass people are discussing about the government's performance, development of localities and dreams and possibilities of future Bangladesh. Talking to BTV, few peasants from Balapur village of Madhubdi Upazila under Norsindi district expressed their thoughts over the upcoming general elections. One farmer said earlier robbery and cattle theft had been a regular incident in his village, but now that type of crime does not happen anymore. He will vote such a party which would run the country with capability to protect the assets and properties of mass people from miscreants. Replying to a question about the present situation of the country, a peasant said, Bangladesh is now more developed than it had been in the past. Construction of roads, bridges, primary schools, madrasas have changed the picture of his locality. He wants to see continuity of such development in future. Another person said job opportunities for marginal people have increased. The present government is very concerned about the improvement of common men's livelihood and that they are leading a good life now. He wants this government to return to the state power again.
Now, international news. An immediate ceasefire in Yemen's war will actually come into effect tomorrow after the initial deal was followed by violence. The warring sides agreed to end fighting in the vital port city of Hodeidah last Thursday. A day later, airstrikes and fierce clashes were reported between pro-government forces and Houthi rebels. UN and Yemeni officials say the ceasefire delay is needed so that orders can be passed to ground troops. The UN Special Envoy for Yemen has urged both sides to respect the obligations and spirit of the agreement, which followed UN-brokered talks in Sweden. Saudi Arabia has denounced US Senate resolutions to end US military aid for a Riyadh-led war in Yemen and to blame the country's crown prince for the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The Saudi Foreign Ministry described the move as interference based on untrue allegations. Thursday's US resolutions are largely symbolic and unlikely to become law, but they sent a warning to President Donald Trump about US lawmakers' anger towards Saudi policies. North Korea has condemned the United States over its latest sanctions measures, warning the policy could block the path to denuclearization on the Korean peninsula forever. The warning from the North on Sunday came days after the US said it was imposing sanctions on 3 senior North Korean officials over human rights abuses.
Now news on sports. The Windies beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets in the first match of the 3-match T20 series in Sylhet International Cricket Stadium this afternoon. After winning the toss, Bangladesh was elected to bat first. The Tigers fell into huge trouble while their top order collapsed at the initial stage of the innings. But skipper Shakib was brilliant today. He scored 61 runs, playing 43 balls. Finally, Bangladesh were all out at 129 runs. Sheldon Cottrell took 4 wickets for the Windies and was adjudged man of the match. In reply, the Caribbeans made a flying start and reached their winning target, playing 10 overs and 5 balls only. The second match of the series will be played in Dhaka on the 20th of December. And now to end the bulletin, a repeat of the top stories. People will vote for progress in December 30th parliamentary elections, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at discussion marking Victory Day. New US ambassador shows of continued support in Rohingya issue as he calls on Prime Minister. Election campaign and public relation apace in festive atmosphere across the country for Parliament election. None can stop massive public support generated for boat across the country, says confident Obaidul Qadir. Ceasefire between Yemen government and Houthi rebels to take hold from tomorrow amid reports of continued clash. And Windies beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets in first match of T20 series.